Hey, welcome in everyone to Dom Time. Our subject tonight, the Obama scandals. How big? One of our guests, Det Anson from Doylestown, has said it's maybe a 2 to 3 on a scale of 10. Our other guest, Dr. Seth Kaufer, Philadelphia Federation of Young Republicans. Dr. Seth, today we saw the president with Governor Christie. Last time I looked, at least he's a Republican now. Part 2 of their bromance in the Jersey Shore. The argument, the suggestion you'll see over the next 48 hours, these two can be bipartisan. It's just these stinking Republicans in Congress that are blocking the blocking the president.
I don't think that's the case. I think there's a lot of important things that are going on right now. And with all these question marks over different agencies in the administration, the Republican minority in the Senate needs to speak up, and filibuster is one tactic and one use of the minority party, so they should be able to use that. So I know there's things we can come together on, but I don't think we're ever going to come together on the fact that Obamacare being implemented by the IRS is basically giving our most precious personal information, financial information, health information into a federal agency that shows it can't handle that operation right now. It wasn't just small rogue agents. People knew about this, and it was in several different offices. So did they all come up with the same idea?
That's pretty chilling. I mean, you're a guy that has employees with health care. You have a lot of records. Doesn't that give you pause when we see the IRS, or do you think this is just those rascally Republicans? Now they got something to stop the big game from going through.
The government already has records on my employees. They already have information on my employees.
Yeah, but not to the level. I mean, as I understand
the most intimate level you can imagine.
With Obamacare, one of the big upticks is this whole idea of electronic record keeping on a massive level. I mean, Rand Paul over the weekend was out there, and I wish I had thought to play it tonight, talking about the coding that physicians like this, when someone comes into your office, doctor, you have to code what the visit was for. It's up to 130,000 codings now from 18,000. 7 if you're bitten by a macaw alone, a bird.
And those macaw codes may well have been missing, yes.
Yeah, exactly. There are 2 for turtles. 1 if it bites you, 1 if you do something else with it. So, when we see the IRS now with our healthcare information, I've had people calling me saying they're afraid of organ donation. They can't get one if they're with the Tea Party.
Well, I think one thing to talk about in terms of the codes, it's easy to poke fun at macaws and those injured macaw owners. But this is about better understanding what's happening in healthcare. And Todd Park, through his open data initiatives, recently released that report and also the data that anyone can go and do this to see how much procedures cost from hospital to hospital. Those code changes, which you like to poke fun at, will allow apples to apples comparison and arguably choice for patients who want to better understand how their dollars are spent.
Do you see that with the codes, or do you see this as Big Brother getting in there?
You basically took the words out of my mouth. I mean, I'll tell you who knows the codes: doctors and the patients that they're taking care of, not the government. I don't need the government to tell me what's wrong with someone. I go to medical school for that. There's plenty of other ways to take care of patients without this big government involved.
It's the uniformity of those codes.
Right.
I mean, this happens with crime reporting. There's federal uniform codes for crime reporting.
It doesn't give you pause. Back to the IRS again, though. I know part of it is to make sure everybody has health insurance, is complying in one shape, form, or another. That's what it starts with. But we've seen where it ends here with the Tea Party.
The IRS is not making my healthcare decisions. It doesn't make the healthcare decisions for my employees, their families. The IRS doesn't do that. Their responsibilities with the healthcare reform deal on the implementation side.
On paper.
Well, the paper, but that's the scope of their charge. They're going to be dealing with those penalties and that you would pay if you don't get health care insurance. That reporting has already been taking place in W-2s. Premiums have been reported on W-2s to the IRS. Healthcare premiums have been reported for years now. As an executive, I've had to report this longer than my employees on what my premiums are.
All right, well, I'd ask the viewers, too, before you say that, Doctor. Does it give you pause, or is this just these Republicans again doing anything? This is like throwing their body across the railroad tracks to stop the train that's coming our way of Obamacare. Is that what it is, or do we have real worries that the IRS now is involved in the most intimate thing, our health?
Well, I think the first thing that he said was that the IRS's role is to target and to look into certain groups. So who are they going to be targeting in the implementation of Obamacare? That worries me. I don't think you should settle political scores through the IRS. And we just don't know that we have an IRS that's independent, functioning right now without taking their cues from higher up. I mean, there's 3 different political scandals in 3 different parts of the administration right now, and they all have a bent to it in terms of the administration's rivals being targeted, the conservatives, the Tea Party groups, people who investigate, the reporters and the news organizations, and then people who are involved that they kept over from the Republican administrations, like David Petraeus involved in the Benghazi and how certain timeline information wasn't let out before the election. It all seems very political, and it has too many questions to trust our government at this high of a
Let's
level.
hold that for a moment. Coming up with viewers, we'll go to Benghazi next. We'll talk about that after Memorial Day. Is that over with? And are these Republicans now on the backs of people that are dead trying to drag the president through that? We'll talk next about that on Dom Time.